The PWHL exclusive signing window is closed. The expansion draft is finished. And Victoire fans can excel because Erin Ambrose will be staying in Montreal. She was a fourth and final protected player for the Victoire. So Hurst, Laura Stacey, Marie-Philippe Poulin, and Anne-Renee Desbiens, we know will be returning next season, but there were some significant losses. And let's start with defender Kayla Barnes, defender Anna Wilgren, Jen Gardner, and Abby Boreen. So Cheryl, much like the Ottawa Charge, they'll need to be addressing their blue line, but more so for them, I believe the priority is retaining the current D that they do have in Katie Tabin, in Mariah Keppel. That will be critical for general manager Danielle Sauvageau, in addition to, of course, shopping around. But to me, you've got to keep what you have in order to build on out from there.
Right on. And if you're GM Michael Hirschfeld, do you know what you're doing right now? You are calling Tabin, right? You want her on your blue line because she's so effective, a smooth skater. So yeah, you're right. Danielle Sauvageau has to be on the horn doing everything she possibly can to hold the lefty in Tabin and the right-handed defender in Mariah Keppel. But if you look at the right side of this blue line, they're pretty heavy there. You know, you've got Keppel, you've got Boulier, Lashkova, and of course, Erin Ambrose. So I'd be looking to the left side saying, okay, I need to find some holes here. Positionally, I've got to find a top four defender on that left side. I know players can play either side, but if you had a wish list and you could get a top defender that is a lefty, you'd be going for it. So at Channel Watkins, I'm looking right back at her because I like the shutdown D, and I love the way she makes a good first pass and has great spacing. If you look at the entry draft, I'm looking straight at Rory Gilday from Cornell. I mean, she's 5'11". She's got a bomb of a shot. She will jump down on the offensive blue line, but she can keep play to the perimeter in her own zone. If you can shut down the cycle and you can box out and you can keep play to the outside, you can be a bona fide top four coming out of the NCAA into this league. So she'd be a premier target if I'm Danielle Sauvageau.
And so, in addition to, of course, wanting to bolster their blue line, we need to talk about depth scoring. I think that's going to continue to be a conversation here from Montreal because, again, this season they found themselves in the playoffs. They just couldn't find a way to score critical goals. Teams are realizing if you can shut down the Poulin and the Stacey line, then you could find a good chance that Montreal will struggle to score. So you have to think this will also be an area Sauvageau will look to address here in the offseason.
Yeah, and much like many in this league, I think it more falls in that 2C, that two-line role, right? I mean, you see the third line at different times was able to get some production. But when I look at that sort of the second line in particular, I'm saying to myself, okay, how do they bolster their top six? They're going to do that, I think, in a free agency. They could go after someone like Susanna Tapani, right? She's a center. She's got pace to her game, and I want to see a little more pace to the game of the Victoire. So she's a player who's got the international experience. But I'm saying to myself, I have no idea. I don't think Boston's going to let her go when Hillary Knight just walked and Hannah Bilka just walked. So maybe now you're looking at the entry draft and you're saying, okay, maybe it's going to be someone like Casey O'Brien who can come in, he can put the puck in the net, right? You want someone who can find ways to distribute, but also put the puck in the net. But I also like Kava out of Minnesota. She's one of those players who's got the heavy IQ. You see that you lost Gardner, right? And she had the cerebral play. She could align with the likes of Marie-Philippe Poulin. I would love to see Michaela Kava up there trying to work her magic, getting to those pockets. And she also has that ability to distribute. So hit Poulin in those high danger areas where Poulin can actually get her shot off. So those are a few ideas around bolstering their lineup, but I think it comes in the top six, Kens. Not in the middle six, but the top six.
And with Gardner and Boreen leaving, those were kind of those ideal depth players that should score. Mind you, Gardner played with Poulin and Stacey. They became one of the most effective lines in the league. But you wonder, and should it be a conversation for Montreal heading into next season? Do they consider splitting up Poulin and Stacey and try to build some players around them who could best help support Stacey to be effective, and then look to the top line who could best help Poulin to be effective? So you wonder if that could be a strategy here for this team moving into next season.
Yeah, and that's exactly why I think they need a 2C, right? Someone who could play with the
Right.
likes of a Stacey or perhaps it is a Casey O'Brien that is able to come in and naturally fill that void because she's got a good set of hands and she's got great vision. So now all of a sudden you've got a linear player like Stacey who's driving the flank. Now she gets hit on the fly and she's got that speed. Hey, and if you are Corey Chevry, depending on where you are or if you have home ice, now all of a sudden you can manipulate your bench and you can put them together at different times because you have that lineup that warrants it. So to me, it is a bit of a puzzle right now. I mean, you look at all of the teams right now, the original six, there are major holes, but a hole that they've consistently shown is their secondary scoring. So this is something that they need to address.
Also, something to keep in mind when talking about the Montreal Victoire, the four players they did lose were all 2024 draft picks. And so at that time when they signed their contracts, it wouldn't have been for so much money. So when you think of the money that came off the books here for the Victoire, it's not as significant as maybe the money that's now freed up within a team like Boston after offloading Hillary Knight, or a team like the New York Sirens that have offloaded a player like Alex Carpenter. So maybe not as much money here for the Victoire to play with at this time, but still some needs to be addressed. And it's at the end of the day, good news for Victoire fans that they know Aaron Ambrose will be suiting up for them next season. So the Montreal Victoire, a chance to break them down, as we'll also talk about the Ottawa Charge and, of course, the Toronto Scepters as the Scepters look ahead next season to one without Sarah Nurse.